Hello and welcome back to History on the Hoof. Today we're going to have a ride through the lovely village of Mankinholes above Todmorden and have a look at a little bit of a darker side of its history. We'll first talk about the name. It was first recorded in the court rules of 1275 and it means Mancan's Hole or Mancan's Hollow. Now Mancan is interesting in itself as it's an old Irish personal name linked to the Hiberno-Norse expansion of the 10th century across the north of England when they were kicked out of Dublin. So as we're entering the village here, I'll just draw your attention to the right hand side and the rather lovely water trough, which you'll notice has two round holes at the end which were used to put in milk churns. And this is a really good example of taking a horse to water and he doesn't want to drink. So we're going to talk about today the Todmorden Riots, and they took place on Friday the 16th of November in 1838. And they all came about as a result of the Poor Law Amendment Act of the same year, which paved the way for the building of workhouses and ending the practice of outdoor relief, where most of the poor or ill of the parish were helped in their own home and weren't taken into workhouses and be managed by the poor law guardians. The feelings around here were very strong against this, and they were exacerbated by John Fielding and his family, the very wealthy mill-owning family of Todmorden. There'd been flare-ups before this and a lot of people refused to pay the poor rate, and this meant that the collectors had to make up the difference themselves. And this is what happened to William Ingham, the collector of Langfield, and this is his house coming up here on the right. He was £15 short and he lived here at Mankinholes Hall, which became the youth hostel. And he was visited by the constables from Halifax the week before and told what personal valuables they were going to take and not the cow he offered. So he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. As promised, the constables were sent the following week. Only a lookout had been set. The factory bells rang, alerting the countryside and turning out all the workers and drawing people from far and wide. I reckon there was about 2,000 people came down and filled this road. The constables, Feather and King, were literally tipped upside down out of their cart and the harness and cart set on fire. The poor horse had been cut free at the last minute and turned into a field. They escaped, ironically, into Ingham's house, and he was then threatened with his house being torched, so he threw them out, where they were stripped naked and beaten all the way down this road, which leads to Woodhouse Mill, where they were cornered again in what was the Rose and Crown across the road, where the poor law guardians had holed up. Needless to say, they didn't hang around. There was more civil unrest in the days following. Houses in the town of people supporting the new act were raided and burnt. In the end, the army was sent for and garrisoned for a while in the town. Punishments were meted out. John Fielding bailed most of them, although one man was transported for offering to shoot his brother-in-law. Not a lot changes. Todmorden was eventually forced to build its workhouse in 1876, and the first inmates were admitted in 1878. And perhaps ironically, Mankinholes Hall, Ingham's house, became Todmorden Union's children's home. We're just heading down a lovely bridle way here, back down to the brink above Lumbert's. You can just see Lumbert's Mill there on the left. And you can just see there the top brink public house. And it began life as a farm in the 18th century, and the licence to sell beer was granted in the 19th. And it was first called the Sportsman's, then the Dog and Partridge. I'd heartily recommend you call in. We do when we're out riding, and often for a nice evening meal. As we come to the bottom of the Packhorse track, we'll see another milestone from the Packhorse period. You just keep your eyes open on the left hand side as we squeeze between the Todmorden public house and a little house on the right hand side. Just keep your eyes peeled here on the left hand side as it dog legs around. And there it is, just tucked under the wall. On the northeast face we have Heptonstall, 7 miles. On the north face, Rochdale, 8 miles. And the northwest face, Halifax, 11 miles. All very worn now, but it is from the 18th century. Thank you so much for listening to History on the Hoof, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.